Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now April 3rd of 2025, and given that the Snow White box office metrics are still not working in Disney's favor and showing no sign of a resolution in sight, we already know that those out there like Disney CEO Bob Iger, the many executives over there, the board of directors, they are all in panic mode over this movie, not performing well, but also to the fact that we have a lot of Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler drama still going on, both behind closed doors and in the public eye, and that's just not even near close to the end of it. We already know that there's a lot of other issues associated with Snow White 2025. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, look, all ideology aside, all DEI aspects put to the wayside, anything to do with the Disney message, let's forget about that for a second. This movie is just a bad film across the board. Like I've said so many times, the acting, the producing, the writing, the directing, the cinematography, everything to do with the line delivery, just everything about the film is just abysmal, and that's exactly why it is labeled the way it is on the IMDb rating score, which really is, right down there with Dragon Ball Evolution and among other films. Now, what's interesting about all this has a lot more to do with what's been going on between Bob Iger, the Disney company, and how they are going into damage control again, desperately so, to protect this movie at all costs, to really just get people to go to the theaters and check this thing out. There's nothing else that they really can do at this point. We already know that Disney and movie theater chains have all agreed to finally begin moving this movie out of theaters already. In fact, this is happening in some states right now in the US. There's a lot of things going on, but let's move on from all of that. However, with the Walt Disney Company still dealing with the public backlash and also the Rachel Zegler drama, one significant development going on now involves more to do with the Disney CEO Bob Iger and what he had to deliver after Disney lost well over $300 million for Snow White. Iger recently delivered the following in a desperate move to defend Disney and Snow White. As CEO, it is my absolute responsibility to remain transparent and clear with our core customer base, our shareholders, and to those who wish to become customers of the Walt Disney Company. In regards to our latest live-action feature, Snow White, we here at the Disney Company do not tolerate such negative comments that we have been dealing with for the past several weeks that have obviously been using politically driven beliefs to hinder the success of our latest feature. We find diversity, equity, and inclusion to be a very valuable addition to our many films and television programs, and to see just how many are seemingly against that is not only worrisome for the company, but also it provides us a clearer picture of the challenges that lie ahead of us on how we approach entertainment. Our latest film, Snow White, was never about engaging in any kind of a culture war, but I will not tolerate our financial claims about our budget on a project this large, and I hold no reason to comment on our losses yet for the project. We approached this film by who we could detach from the source material, and how we could do it, to really approach something new and unexpected for Disney fans and loyal supporters that we have gained over the years. Now guys, before I move on, he's obviously alluding to the fact that they really had no prince in this movie. They had a character called Jonathan, who is an outlaw, who is basically a thief in this movie, who essentially is a bandit instead of a regular prince from the 1937 original, and what is done in traditional Disney films, right? Now, let's not forget Snow White does originate from the Brothers Grimm. You can't forget about that. But we know that most people in pop culture recognize it from the 37 original. Now, he goes on to continue, we don't see our approach with DEI or our shift from the source material as any kind of an agenda, or anything to do with any kind of an ideology or an ulterior motive on our part. Any of those saying otherwise hold nothing but a narrative of their own to hinder our reach with a film that so many talented people worked on. We at the Disney Company hold no regrets with our usage of DEI in our Snow White feature. We believe it's what we should treat as the priority over everything else in order to have films relate to so many around the globe. This is how we expand the market. This is how you reach out to new customers. This holds nothing to do with any kind of an agenda, but rather a strategy of our own to expand our global business model. Again, there he goes, literally admitting that they're just using DEI to essentially expand their business model just for the sake of doing that. So it's really not coming from a genuine place when they talk about anything to do with the way that they treat projects, the way that they're trying to change things. It's obviously all agenda driven. You know, the whole global market expansion is just a cover-up for Disney. That's just their way of pleasing shareholders. That's basically just a little talking point to not lose shareholders, simply put. But when he's talking, when he's actually speaking to the customers out there, that all translates to, we don't really mean that. We mean that we wanted to shoehorn in an ideology into our projects because, well, we all remember that leaked meeting by the Disney company where, you know, an X amount of percentage had to be or look like this, or had to come from this country, or had to come from this part of the world, or had to come from, you know, LGBTQ and all this nonsense in every single movie, whether it was Star Wars, Marvel, everything. You guys may recall that leaked Disney meeting. Go ahead and search it up. It's quite wild. But he goes on to conclude, we ask everyone listening to any kind of an inflammatory criticism of our film to filter that out and to give the product a chance to speak for itself. The Walt Disney Company will and never has done anything that would associate with any kind of a hidden message or ideology toward the public. That's not what the Disney Company is about, and it will never be. Again, I am unwilling to comment on the budget or our latest feature and our losses. Those conversations will be held for another time. But when you look at all the criticism on social media, I believe this is where the issues lie ahead and why films are struggling these days, and not just us, but with other studios out there. Again, he's casting blame on social media as to why not just his movie, Snow White, is failing, but also why a lot of other studios are dealing with box office failures, flops, you know, box office collapse moments in their studios. It has nothing to do with the social media. In fact, it's the social media, you know, platforms across the board that are really just calling things out for what it is, right? That's really what it's all about. It has nothing to do with social media creating the problem. It's just literally letting everybody know about what's going on with this movie or this TV show or a program out there, whatever it may be, a channel, you know, on television, anything like that is called out on social media, and essentially the truth is just spread faster. So it all comes from the studio, it all comes from the writers, the directors, the creatives behind this thing that just throw in these ideologies that really nobody wants anymore. And that's why DEI is really just getting thrown out of so many organizations right now, quite frankly. You know, we already know that the new, overall stance on things from the studios is that they are beginning to realize that there's no business model there. But overall, Bob Iger is very desperate. He doesn't really want to comment on the budget here. I think that speaks volumes. He doesn't want to comment on the losses of Snow White. That speaks volumes too. That's literally just admitting that this movie is a failure. That's literally him admitting that this movie is just not doing well. And it's going to do a whole lot worse, by the way, once a Minecraft movie drops in theaters tomorrow on April 4th. And look, I'm not saying Minecraft is going to be a box office flop per se, but will it be a good movie? Maybe, maybe not. It's really a flip of the coin at this point. But overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.